Hello, welcome on back. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly WTA. We had the excitement of the US Open Championship last week and the week before, and now we're back to normality with a 250 and a 500 in Tunisia and Mexico. Delighted to say, joining me as per usual usually on Sunday, but it's on a Monday morning today, is our WTA handicapper. It is Rory Jiwani. Good morning to you. I've got you up nice and early, Rory, because I've got to get a plane. So how are you, mate?
I'm not too bad, yeah. The US Open, case of what might have been, I guess. Paula Badosa made the quarterfinals, one of my picks, but rather fell apart against Emma Navarro. Arina Sabalenka got it done. It wasn't routine, the final, by any stretch, but she won in straight sets in the end. You just felt that Pegula could have won a set, especially the second where she got to 5-3 but couldn't close it out. But Sabalenka, I mean, a lot of people have said she's improved a lot mentally. I think she's still a bit suspect, and I just suspect a better player might have, taken a set, and then who knows? I mean, there were flashbacks to last year's final when she lost to Coco Gauff. But congratulations to her. 2 hard court slams in a year. That is some achievement, and she's very close now to Swiatek in the race for world number 1, and got some interesting weeks coming up. We'll have the WTA finals at the end of the season, Sabalenka closing in on that world number 1 spot.
Yep, cashed for me at 3-1.
Yes,
better at 3-1.
Were you nervous in the final at all?
No, not at all. I was
really?
I was exchanging WhatsApp messages with you during the final,
yes,
and
yes.
I just didn't have any.
Even in the second set at 5-3, when she was 3-love up, went to 5-3.
I didn't, because I know Pegula's a bit of a flaky opponent. I wouldn't really fancy her to. I think when she realised that she's going to win the US Open, I think she could choke. And I just thought her power hitting would be able to be too strong. Like, there was no way I thought Pegula could go toe to toe with her like that into a third set. I've never seen Pegula play like that. And she was just taking the game to her, and in the end, her power just saw through. You know what you're going to get with Sabalenka? It's either unforced error or clean winners. And when she went into a power hitting game, then I thought, well, there's no problem here. Never in the slightest moment did I ever feel worried. And I promise you, I don't really worry too much about betting. Really, it's what will be will be. I think if you bet someone at 3-1 at the start, which I did, I bet her 11-4 as well, and she's in the final and she's 10 on in running, which she was, minus 1,000. Well, there's other times you'd rather be in that position than the other position. So I wasn't really that. Honestly, I genuinely wasn't really that worried. And I think you might see her go on and win almost everything next year, apart from the French. I think she's got some kind of belief in her now. I've said it in the pre-show, but I think she believes now that she can win it everything. And she's got a good team around her. She's confident, and I think next year she's going to come back. She's going to be very, very hard to beat on these hard-court surfaces. I really do, because she's. I know she didn't play. Her serve wasn't great yesterday, but now that she's got those 2 majors, she's going to go on upwards spiral, I believe. But we'll see. I mean, that's all to come. And I mean, the race. She's going to be very, very excited to try and hunt down Iga Swiatek in the race for number 1. She'll want to end the world race for number 1. There's a lot of incentives for her. Maybe not a lot of incentives for the players this week in Tunisia and Guadalajara in Mexico. It's always very hard, isn't it? Like the tournament straight after a major, it's so hard to really predict who's going to be up for it, who's going to be up for the challenge, who's going to be wanting to go deep in the tournament, who just wants a break. And this week is even more difficult because it's the end of the year. It comes towards the end of the year. So, and then they've got to go off to the Far East and lift their spirits up again, some big tournaments as well. So it's a tricky little one to gauge who's going to be up for this week. So we're going to start off with a tournament in Guadalajara. But before we do that, what's your opinion of that? What's your opinion of players that are coming in after a major? How their interest levels. What sort of the tricky kind for bettors, isn't it?
A little, yes. I mean, a lot of these players this week. I mean, none of the top players are in action. A lot of these players will have had early exits in New York, and I guess for some of them it's just, a lot of these players don't really have much chance of winning a slam, and this is their big opportunity. This is a 500 in Guadalajara, you've got a 250 in Monastir. Guadalajara, of course, was a 1,000 last year. It's been downgraded, thankfully, because it was a pretty dreadful 1,000. but you do have some good players in the fields. Particularly in Guadalajara, not too many, but you've got a handful of pretty decent players in Mexico. And there's still a small matter of ranking points up for grabs. It's still important, especially when you're looking towards future slams. You want to be in the top 32. You want to be seeded. So a lot of these players are going to be on the cusp here. So thinking if they can get a good performance here, they can get some ranking points, they can get into that top 32 with a view to next season being seeded at the slams.
Yep, big incentives to getting to that top 32. There's a lot of tennis to go yet, maybe for next year as well. But you want to be sort of getting into the high 20s. So that might be a sort of a fit of potential winner. Look for someone in that sort of looking in that 20s and 30s. I think I've read Rory's mind already. I think he knows now that I sort of established where he's going on this one on the outright market. Let's have, what's the conditions like? I mean, I haven't looked at the weather forecast. I've concentrated the weather forecast this week in Crete, in Greece, because I'll be flying there in about 3 hours. I haven't actually looked on my Google Maps on my weather forecast for the conditions in Mexico, but I'm guessing it's pretty good.
Yeah, weather temperature-wise, it's good. High 20 Celsius, around 80 Fahrenheit. But we are due a fair bit of rain, especially Wednesday and Friday. Thursday could be disrupted too, so we could get a bit of a fixture congestion later on in the week. As far as conditions go, court conditions go, last year it was pretty quick. It played almost identically to Miami, which most of you will know is one of the quicker hard court venues on the tour. Both tournaments had 69.4% service holds. By comparison, the US Open we just had was around 67%. So yeah, it's one of the quicker hard court venues, which will play into hands of some of the players in the field. Jelena Ostapenko is the number 1 seed. I mean, she can hit winners on anything if she's in the mood. But yeah, I think with the rain due later in the week, there might be an advantage for players who are able to get a couple of rounds under their belts before Wednesday.
Yeah, the action starts today, Eastern time. Head across to the Bet Rivers. I'm going to get it time from the Eastern time. The action starts today. I think it's at 3 o'clock Eastern time, is it? I'm sure it's 3 o'clock. Let me just double check that.
Yeah, it's quite a late start, this one.
Yeah, I'm just double checking on the website. Yes, so it's 3 o'clock Eastern time today. The action starts, so you haven't missed anything as yet, but you haven't got much time. So make sure you head across to the Bet Rivers website to check out all the first round matches and the future market. We're going to discuss the future market here as well. Last year the tournament was won by Sakkari. He beat Dollarhide, and the year before it was won by Jess Pegula, who also beat Sakkari in the final. And as Rory said, it was a 1,000 event last year, and it wasn't really the greatest of 1,000 events. Let's have a look at the draw, the more important draw, the bracket. Number 1 seed, as Rory touched on, is Helena Ostapenko. She's the number 1 seed. She will play Magdalena Freck if it goes to seedings in the quarterfinal. Garcia is the number 4 seed, and she will play Buskova, the number 6 seed. And that is the top half of the draw. In the bottom half of the draw, Kudermetova, the number 7 seed, will play Azarenka, the number 3 seed, and Dollarhide, last year's beaten finalist, is number 8 seed. She will play Danielle Collins. All the seedings get a bye through to round number 2, so they're already through to the round of, I think it's the last 13 they're through to. The last 32 they're through to. So the players are playing for the right to play for one of those seeds, so they're already through. So if you want to bet one of those players, they have nothing to worry about in round 1. Let's have a look at some outright markets. You know the bracket, now let's have a look at the outright markets. Danielle Collins is the tournament favourite at plus 250. On early season form, you would have probably been all over that plus 250, but not really at the moment, the way she's playing. Victoria Azarenka has a very poor run at the moment, very poor US Open. She's plus 450. Ostapenko, just coming off the back of winning the doubles in the US Open, she's plus 450. She's going to be celebrating, probably a fade this week. Buskova is plus $8. Garcia is 10. Never bet her if anyone's money. Aisling Kruger, interesting one. She's 12. Kudermetova 14. Sloane Stephens, the veteran, at 16. Dollarhide, the nearly girl last year, 18. Magdalena Freck at 20. Camila Osorio at 25. I always like her in these kind of tournaments with her support, but probably a little bit too quick for her. Kalanina 28 to 1. Rakimova at 28 to 1. And then we're 40 to 1 bar those top 10, I believe. Rory, where's the value here?
Yeah, so as you say, top 4 seeds get buys.
I got it wrong.
Ostapenko's
Sorry,
top seed.
I knew I'd get
Yeah.
it wrong because I checked. You know why I got it wrong? Because I tried to go to the WTA website and print the draw
it's
off,
a
and
horror.
I couldn't
It's a
print the
horror.
draw off, so I just assumed that they were being given by. So it was a nightmare for me.
Yeah, those. It's like it's where you get the draw and you try to get the PDF printout, and it is really hit and miss, which is not very good. I mean, Ostapenko, she's the top seed. She's only joint second in the favourite in the betting, I should say. She's in the top quarter because she's the top seed. It's easy first round match, you'd think, against Stakazic or Schmidlova. But then round three, because she's got a bye. Probably either Magdalena Freck or Aisling Kruger. Now Freck's having a good year. She's as high as she's been in the world rankings, just outside the top 40. She took a set of Emma Navarro in very quick conditions in Monterrey not so long ago. Before that, she beat Marie Bauskova in Cincinnati. Kruger, it's a funny one because she's got the game for fast surfaces. She's tall, she's got a big serve, but she's very up and down. She stunned Mira Andreeva at Flushing Meadows, but then went out very tamely to Lyudmila Samsonova. Going to the second quarter, Caroline Garcia having a pretty mediocre year. Bauskova's in that second quarter. She reached the semis here in 2022. She actually beat Sabalenka in Washington in the semi-finals before going down to Paula Badosa in the final. She's only won one since. I mean, that top half, I'm kind of looking at Bauskova, Kruger and Freck. And the prices make my mind up for me because Bauskova's $8, Kruger's $12, and Freck is $20. So I think Freck's the value in the top half. I mean, you wouldn't trust any of those players implicitly.
I wouldn't trust any of the players in the whole tournament. Not down there.
Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, there are doubts over all of these players, but I think Freck is worth a play at $20. I do have my doubts, about her sustaining it over the course of a week, but I think that price is too big to ignore, especially when you compare it to the others. So I'll have half a point each way on Freck in the top half. In the bottom half, when I saw the names in the tournament, I was drawn to Azarenka. She has struggled for fitness, and she was beat by Yafan Wang at the US Open. But her price is just too short at plus 450. She's in the third quarter, along with Veronika Kudermetova, whose poor run of form continued in New York. She hasn't won a match since June. Kamila Rakimova is interesting. She gave Iga Swiatek a bit to think about in New York. And then she actually won the Challenger event last week in the same venue. It's a 1-2-5. She beat Tatiana Maria in the final on Saturday. That was her biggest win of her career. And then you go to the bottom quarter, Danielle Collins, number 2 seed. But she's in the same quarter as Caroline Dollarhide, who beat her at the US Open, and Dollarhide was the runner-up last year. Dollarhide looks to have not a bad run. She's got Martina Trevisan first up, who's out of form, and missed last week the Challenger with a foot injury. And then in round 2, either Angelina Kalinina or Renata Zarazua, the home player. Both of those would prefer slower conditions. And then in the quarters, it's probably either a rematch with Collins or maybe Sloane Stephens. I do like Dollarhide for this. She reached the semi-finals in Washington. She's in good form. She lost out there to Anisimova. In Cincinnati, she lost to Taylor Townsend, who's always dangerous in quick conditions, and we know it was quick in Cincinnati. At the US Open, she lost to Irani after beating Collins. Sara Irani. And that happened. She made too many unforced errors. She's not the first, not the last player to do that. I do like Dollarhide here. I think $19 is a fair price. She's in form. She likes it here. So we'll have another half point each way there. I struggle to see why Collins is such a short price based on, the last few weeks. She struggled with fitness. First round exit at the US Open, plus 250 looks hellish short for her.
Yeah, I mean, Dollarhide has actually come in a little bit. She's now $18 with Bet Rivers. Collins is obviously plus 250, the favourite. I agree with you totally on this one, Rory. I think Dollarhide is the bet here. Obviously, she's got the incentive as well. She's got a lot of points to defend. I mean, she's got to the final here last year, and she's got all those points to defend here, and it was an 1,000 event. So you think about it, she's got massive incentive to do well here. Whereas a lot of these players, probably Collins is on a farewell leg now, isn't she? She's done the US Open, she's on a farewell tour. Is she going to be up for the challenge after having such a high at the start of the year and then winning 1,000 events and now coming towards the end of her career? I think Dollarhide here is a cracking bet at 18s. Really do. So I'm totally in agreement with you there on the American there. $18. Remember, this starts at 3 p.m. So head across to the BetRivers website. Make sure you get on today, 3 p.m. today. And Dollarhide hasn't got a buy. She has to go through, has to write the top 4 seeds to the buy. I've got that wrong because don't blame me, blame the WTA website on that one. So it's not my fault. There is another tournament. And if you thought after the US Open things couldn't get any worse, well, they can. Just hang along for this next 6 or 7 minutes and you'll realise how bad they can possibly get. We're moving across to Tunisia now, to Monastir in the Jasmine Open. Very famous Jasmine met me last week at the JFK airport, Jasmine Paolini.
Highlight of her week.
Yes. It was. She actually did say that. She asked me. She asked me to pass on regards, and she says tunes in every week. And could I have a selfie? And I said, of course you can, Jasmine. No problem whatsoever. But it's a 250 event over in Tunisia, and this tournament is a tournament that's been dominated by Elise Mertens. Before we go into the bracket and the draws and prices, we'll give some conditions here in Tunisia. Again, I can imagine it being very, very hot.
Yeah, it's going to be warm and mostly dry all week. Temperatures in the high 20s Celsius, low 80s Fahrenheit. The thing about Monastir is, although it's hardcore, it's really slow. One of the slowest events of 2023. Service hold percentage 55.4. It was actually slower than every event on clay last year. And the field isn't great, as you've alluded to. It's a strange tournament. It's funny. You've got this one. You've got the one in Thailand in Hua Hin earlier in the year. They're actually going to Hua Hin twice this year. They're actually going there again in October. And these two are really slow, despite being on hard courts. Elise Mertens is the 2-time reigning champion. And the top seed. She won last year without dropping a set. She actually beat the aforementioned Jasmine Paolini in the final last year. But this looks a weaker field than last year. It's the conditions should suit Mertens more than anyone else. We'll look at the draw shortly, but Mertens is the favourite, and rightly so.
Yeah, as you say, she hasn't lost the matches. 2 times champion. Tournament's only been held twice, and she's won both times. And no wonder she's the number 1 seed when you look at the field. This is the bracket. Number 1, Elise Mertens. She will play Minin in the quarterfinals if it goes their way. The number 3 seed is Diane Parry, and she will play Christian, the Romanian. And that's the top half of the draw. It shows you how weak that is. The bottom half, Bronzetti, the Italian's number 7 seed. She'll play Podoroska. Nadia Podoroska might like it conditions here. She's the Argentinian number 4 seed. Blinkova is the number 8 seed. And number 2 seed is Clara Burrell. So that shows you the kind of tournament we have here. Let's look at the betting with BetRivers. Mertens, no surprise. Plus 210 favourite to win this. And a lot of people might just think that is picking money up off the street in this kind of field, given her record here, unbeaten, 2-time champion. Clara Burrell, the number 2 seed, is $6, 9 to 1 for Diane Parry, 10 to 1 for Sorribes Tormo. Minin is 12, Anne Lee 14 to 1. A lot of money for her overnight. She was 33 to 1 when we went to bed. Woke up this morning at 14 to 1. She's more than halved in price. Bronzetti is 16, Lies is 16, Podoroska 16, Maya Sheriff is 16, Masarova 20, Suzarenka is 25, and Blinkova is 25 as well. Christian as well, 25 as well. It's really going to be who can stop Mertens, if anyone can.
If anyone can. I mean, and the thing with Mertens is, not only is she the 2-time reigning champion, she's in good form. She had a decent run at the US Open. She knocked out Madison Keys before falling to Arina Sabalenka in the round of 16. Honestly,
but does that help her? Does that help her, the fact that she's gone well and come here, travelled back? Whereas the other players have probably been a lot more rested than her. Is that a positive?
Yeah, she didn't really. she might have just made the second week. I can't remember exactly when they played, but
Right.
she'll have had enough rest. I don't think that will be a problem. I just don't see how she gets beat. I mean, first up, she's got Anastasia Zakharova, who looks to be coming back from injury. She was beaten in her first qualified for the US Open. She had a bit of a break. She actually won an ITF event, a 100 event in Portugal, but then had a few weeks off before trying to qualify for the US Open. Round 2, Elise or Lesia Surenko. I mean, Surenko's rarely fit, but she has shown a liking for slow, hard courts in the past, but not one really to trust with your money. Then probably Minen in the quarterfinals, Parry or Christian in the semis, and take your pick in the bottom half. I mean, the bottom half is just so trappy, it's unbelievable. I mean, Burrell's the number 2 seed. She did reach the quarterfinals in Cleveland the week before the US Open, but that wasn't much of a field. I mean, most of the players in the bottom half are either clay court specialists, out of form, or both of those things. So, Mertens at plus 210 to me is still a big price. I mean, you look at Collins at plus 250 for Guadalajara. I know which one I'd rather be on. I think the way this tournament has shaped up and given her past record, Mertens should be near the sort of prices we're talking about Swiatek for Roland Garros. She's that dominant here. I'm not really seeing, and the thing is, I'm not really seeing anyone at a big price that I like. I mean, you've got Christian at 25, Blinkova at 25, Surenko at 25. I mean, even so. I mean, I was interested in Christian, but one of her big assets is her serve. It's too slow for her serve really to be effective. And, she could meet Mertens in the semis. Mertens beat her 2 years ago, 6-1, 6-1. Says she didn't drop a set last year. She beat Burrell. Burrell was the number 8 seed last year. She's number 2 this year. Mertens beat Burrell 6-2, 6-1 in the semi-finals. She beat Paolini 6-3, 6-love in the final. I thought she'd be a lot shorter. I mean, to be honest, you could see a case of her being around the sort of plus 130, plus 140 mark. So I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I'm going to have a big, decent bet on Mertens. 4 points win on the Belgian.
Ooh,
I cannot see her.
Now,
being
hang on a
beaten.
minute. There's last week you called me favourite Becker.
Did I?
Here we go.
No.
He's gone 4 points all in. Mertens.
I've gone through it. I've looked at her path. I've looked at the bottom half. I just don't see anyone coming from that to trouble her. It's not a good tournament. It's a weak tournament. She's not been beaten here. She's in good form. And you can't say those things about anyone else in the field. No. I mean, Podoroska is the 4th seed. She's a clay court specialist. She's hopelessly out of form. And you're just looking at the field and thinking, you're going through these players and you just can't see them winning. I mean, Parry is a good player, would want it quicker. She's a 3rd seed. Burrell's very flaky. Blinkova would want it quicker. Bronzetti, she prefers clay. I mean, I'm surprised by the move for Anne Lee. She's had some good results on clay, and okay, this is going to be similar, maybe slower in terms of speed, but it's still different. It's still not, clay players could go well. You've got Sara Sorribes Tormo in the bottom. It's possible that she could go well, but Mertens has done it, been there, and because it's slow and because it's hardcore, it's it does lend itself to a specialist, and Mertens has won it 2 years in a row, which would back that up. I just can't see her being beaten.
I suppose the Anne Lee money's for each way, isn't it? You look at it; she's in the bottom half of the draw.
She's in the bottom half. Yeah,
she's 33-1. People thinking, 16.5-1 to make the final. There's not many other players that make such appeal, so that could probably be the reason why. But obviously, Elise Mertens is our bet here, a 4-point bet to win the tournament. And we said on Dollar High she has points to defend. Well, this girl's got huge amount of points to defend here as well. Not many points because there's 250, but she's got the incentive here is to make history and win a third title. She likes to play, she likes the court, plus 210. We expected her to be around about plus 130, and even at those very low odds, we believe that is value. And Rory's gone for his first ever 4-point wager. And I know Rory quite well. He's not really someone who's really going to go all in, but a 4-point wager, Rory's quite ballsy for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
Here we go.
It is. But it's just because, just from looking at at the tournament, and obviously we do this every week. We look at, we look at the conditions, we look at the draw, and obviously we try and analyse the form of the players going into it. And, it's funny, look, we were saying about the US Open. It does normally go to a player in form. And it went, the finalists were the two informed players on the circuit, Sabalenka and Pegula. Obviously, they met in the Cincinnati final as well. And in this tournament, Mertens has everything going for her. And I think, she's a big price. I just cannot see her being beaten.
Remember, the tournament starts today at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So hopefully this video will drop, give you plenty of time to get across to the Bet Rivers website and place that bet on Mertens. But if it doesn't, and it's a little bit later, do not worry too much because Mertens is not in action until tomorrow on Tuesday. So the price won't change much on the outright market to a tournament winner. You'll still be able to get a decent price, and you won't have she won't be knocked out of the tournament, or she runs through to the next round where her price obviously gets a little bit shorter. So you still have plenty of time. Make sure you head across to the Bet Rivers website. There's a whole host of specials, whole host of markets on the WTA Tour. No ATP Tour action this week, hence the reason why I'm heading to the airport. There's a little bit of a break, but there's still great content coming your way. The live show each day, every day, at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So when the tennis starts today, the live show will be dropping. All the Because We Win crew will be on there. And make sure you download this podcast, Betting Weekly WTA. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We smashed through the 5,000 subscribers barrier last week. That was great. Thank you very much for that. At Betting Weekly Studios. And obviously follow us on Twitter and on our socials at Because We Win. Rory, thank you very much for your time this morning. I know it's nice and early to get you up, but if you can just give us a little bit of a recap on where we're going this week on the two tournaments on the WTA Tour.
Yep, so Guadalajara, the 500 in the top half, Magdalena Freck at $20 as a half point each way. And in the bottom half, Caroline Dolehide at $18, another half point each way. And then in Monastir, all in on Elise Mertens' 4-point win at plus 210.
As you can see by the figure, the WTA show this season is showing a slight loss of 0.31 units. But when Mertens wins this without dropping a set, 6-love in the final, that's going to go up quite considerably. Let's hope for that. Good luck with your bets this weekend. It's a weekend. I don't know what day of the week it is. Flying from New York to everywhere. I don't know where I am.
International jet setter, Nigel.
I'm absolutely exhausted. 4 hours sleep last night. And I can't sleep, Rory. I just cannot sleep anymore. I just don't know where I am. My body clock's all over the place. But anyway, I'm not complaining. It's a great opportunity. But anyway, good luck with your bets this week, and good luck with Mertens, our big player, our biggest player of the year. Hopefully she can cash to take us nicely into profit heading into the Far East swing, which is coming up very shortly. Thanks very much for your time, Rory. Good luck. Take care, everyone. Speak to you again next week.